Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So awesome. Hello. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Juanita Gonzalez. I am a chemistry teacher at PSJA North. I actually see some of my colleagues here, so thank you for joining us. Hello. Thank you for being at today's session. I'm so excited to share this resource with all of you guys. I've had so much fun using it in class, so hopefully you have just as much fun implementing it. Now, I know there were other Genially sessions today, so I also hope that the information I give to you guys is different and new. By the way, has anybody here heard of Genially before today? It's no, yeah, I know. I don't think that many people have heard of it. When I was looking through Genially, I believe it started in Spain, so it could be the reason why we're not so familiar with it here, because it has been a thing for a few years now. So with Genially, I like to use it a lot to engage my students and to motivate them. It's a really good tool for them to check their own understanding. And then as a bonus, it's also really sustainable. So it's really good because I don't know about the other campuses, but sometimes, we don't have that much paper to print, or just printing out all these games takes a lot of time with the cutting and the laminating, and it's just not feasible to spend that much time. So instead, with the digital version, it's a lot quicker and it's more time efficient. So we're going to get started right away. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. So right now I'm showing you the EdTech page. Again, my name is Juanita Gonzalez. Today's scheduled session is Gamifying Learning with Genially. I'm going to move on. Today we'll explore how to create digital challenges, including escape games and speed quizzes, to boost student engagement and foster collaboration amongst our students. So what we hope to get through today is do the classic board games, escape rooms, there's a complete the sentence activity, there's the flag challenge, and then at the very end, I hope that we have time to explore other features because Genially also helps you make slideshows, and there's other quizzes or even choice boards that you can look at. So first off, what I'll have me show you guys is how to log on. I'm going to start off by going to genially.com. You, of course, have to create the account. You can click on sign up on this button here. It's very simple. Might take a few seconds to load. Well, as it loads, I signed up with my Gmail. Oh, hi, Ms. Betancourt. I say hi as well. I hope you guys like this. So it's taking a while to log on. But like I was telling you guys, sign up probably with the PSJA Gmail. That way everything is streamlined and you're not worrying about the passwords or resetting passwords or anything like that. Let's see if as it loads, it's taking a while again, but there's several tiers to it. There's the free version, and then the others, I believe, are the $5 and $10 versions. Once you're here to create your free account, make sure you go with education, not the company and professionals, because of course, education is more tailored to students and to teachers. And I believe the prices are different as well. So you would go to education, like I said, try to sign up with your Gmail with PSJA. That way it's easier and you're not worried about the passwords. I'm going to log in because I already have my account. So let me try that real quick. And in just a few steps, you're logged in. I'm going to press continue right here. And then as soon as you log in, you see a lot of resources. They're very vast. It's a vast library. They're super varied. It's like I said earlier, you see something from PowerPoints to the classic board games to maybe choice boards. Here you have my space. These are some of the things that I've been working on. And they're pretty much ready to go. So if you're not very creative, if you don't know how to decorate things very well, this is one of the best options that we have. So I'll go to templates first on my left side. And this is the starting page that you pretty much have for most things. Again, if I scroll down, just look at how creative and colorful everything is. You have some options for the first day of class. You have some to communicate. Remember that this also has like PowerPoints that you could use to teach the class, to give students practice, essential for teachers, escape games. What I like to do is I go to the very top where it says explore templates. I'm going to start off with the games and challenges. And within games and challenges, these are the different topics that you have. So the escape games, which are, the ones that we're familiar with. You have your classics, which are literally board games that we don't have to print out. Like I said earlier, you don't have to do the cutouts or the laminating. You just have to edit the electronic version. You have the trivia and the speed, which are pretty similar. Those are more basic quizzes. I would say they're on par with Block It or Kahoot, but it's just a different version of those games. You have simulations, and then you have additional activities. I'm going to start us off with, like I said, the classic board game. So I'm going to take us to the witchcraft. No, sorry, it was not that one. Let's go. I'm going to go to my space. I'm going to use the horror escape room. While that loads, I know that a lot of my colleagues use escape rooms, and I never did them because they felt like it would be very time consuming, whether if I did it on paper or on PowerPoint. It would be a lot to work with the hyperlinks to connect things from one end or one slide to the next. So I never did escape rooms until I found Genially, and now it's a more common or regular thing. Okay, that's one of the hard escape rooms. That's the one that I'm going to help us edit. That way you guys see how it works. But let me just show you guys the one that is actually provided by Genially. So you're going to find some templates that already have content. It's not necessarily academic content, like this one is more Halloween or scary story stuff. Other templates are just maybe in Latin or have random words. So just be aware of that. Everything is editable, so it shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to use this template. I'm going to show you guys the link. I'm going to put it in the chat. That way you guys can click on it and explore it for a little bit. And then afterwards, I'll show you guys more on how to edit it. So it does tend to take a few moments to load. What I recommend is when you're in class, maybe start setting up the slides for your board a little bit before you actually want the kids to start. That way you're not waiting the way that we're doing here. So I am going to share this. If you see my mouse is on the top right, there's a share button, it's blue. There's a link. I'm going to click on anyone with the link and I'm going to press confirm. Copy link. I'm going to put this in our chat. And if you guys click on it, which I'll click on my end as well, you'll have an idea of what kind of board games we're working with. So a lot of the templates already have a sentence embedded with them. I don't know if you can hear it. There we go. Which is a lot more than I would do. If I were doing this on PowerPoint, I just don't think I would have the time to incorporate that. So again, the best thing about Genially is all the details, all the little decorations, all the animations, it's all already there. Their start, you have the introduction, which I'll skip for now. You go on to the next slide and you have these arrows that you can click on. Maybe these don't work. So this one, you have your first question. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just going to pick a random answer. Okay. So if it's wrong, that's what you'll see in this particular template. Again, I'm going to pick a random answer. That one's wrong as well. So you can imagine the kids playing with this and they'll find it pretty engaging. They'll think it's maybe funny, maybe interesting. Okay, I picked the right answer and then moved on to the next slide. So that is what this game looks like. At the very end, you do have the solution. I'm going to exit for now, and I'm going to take us to the editing page. So, okay, gonna take us, let's say we're here. With Genially, you can edit anything that has a text box is something that you can edit. Oh, let me close that tab. So let's say I don't want to call this the horror escape room. I can just call it, maybe it's a review for the periodic table. So periodic table. All I have to do is I'm going to double click it and it's going to allow me to edit it. Let's say you don't like that color. You can highlight it, go to the top where it says A with the red underline. I click on it. Maybe I'll make it, let's say blue. And there you go. A lot of it is on par with Google Slides or PowerPoint, so you'll recognize a lot of the symbols at the top. It's going to be pretty easy for you to navigate this. Now, let's say that you're not convinced about the skeleton hand. Maybe you're teaching elementary, so that's a little too scary for them, or you just don't like it. You can also change that out, because remember, if it's got a text box or some box around it, you can change it. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to click on the snowman or the three dots that you see here, and I'll click replace image. And here you have a bunch of options that you can use. You have some that you can upload from your device. You can have something created with the image. That is if you have the premium. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but today I'm going to go over everything that's in the free version. So everything I'm showing right now is going to be accessible whether you pay for it or not. As we move throughout today, I'll point out the differences if you want to pay. Now, if you want to pay, I believe it's one tier is $5. The other one is maybe 10 or 15. As far as I know, it's also billed annually, so it's not like you can pay for 1 month and then, if you don't like it, you stop subscription. So it's just for you to be aware of. But if you choose to use a free version, which is the one that I use, you can still get a lot from this. It's going to be worth it either way. We can replace that skeleton hand with an image or a GIF, however you'd like to call it. I'll use maybe a jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to type that in. I'll pick this one. I'll click where it says replace. And okay, maybe that one didn't work. So let me pick another one, replace image. Maybe a pumpkin. I'll pick this one just for the sake of showing you guys. There we go. Okay. And you can drag it, you can make it bigger, you can change it as you like. Okay. Now, gonna okay. So I'm going to close this for a bit. One thing that I recommend using a lot with Genially is always check the preview so that you see where to go. You can check the preview by going to the bottom right. There's a little eye icon, and that way you know what things look like if you want to change them or not. Okay. So for example, this third slide that I'm on, I don't really have to change anything on it because it's not content per se. It's more just leading me on to the next one. The next slide, that's the one that I might want to change. Slide number 4, this is where you're going to put your questions. So I can double click on my text box, maybe put what are the noble gases? And then, like I said with Genially, everything is pretty much set up. I could leave the answer choices exactly how we see them, or I could change them. If you want to change them, maybe because you want to reuse the board and you don't want kids to memorize the order of the answers, that's pretty simple to do. You're just gonna run your board. Hold on. Okay, you'll run the mouse over the answer choices and you'll notice that one of them says go to page 8. The next one says next page, and then finally we have go to page 8 again, which tells me that the one in the middle has to be the correct answer. I could switch this around by maybe instead of on the middle, I can change instead of next page, I'm going to run my mouse over it and it says edit interactivity. I'll make that one go to page 8 because now that one's going to be incorrect. And then zombie would now be my correct answer. So I'm going to switch it so that it says correct answer. And don't forget to change the page that you're going to. So again, I'm going to round my mouse over the arrow at the bottom. Instead of go to page 8, we'll go to the next question, which in this case would be, let's see, if I'm on question 1, I'd be going to question 2. And then remember to double check if everything works correctly by going to the bottom, checking the preview. 1 is not working. 2 is incorrect. And then the correct answer took me to the next slide, which was question 2. For this, there are other edits that you can make. You can change the transitions or the navigation, but I think that kind of defeats the purpose sometimes because if you're in a hurry, you don't want to change the details too much if they're already ready for you to go. I think that's pretty much it for the escape room. Like I said, it's just more time efficient. It's more sustainable as well. You're not going to worry about maybe laminating, maybe cutting, maybe printing out a lot of games or a lot of copies for your students. Are there any questions for this section? Let me add on to this. So for the escape rooms, that is not something that I would recommend putting at the front of the classroom because only the person who's in control of that laptop or you as a teacher can go through the slides. So the way that I've used this is you give the students a link, kind of like the one that I gave you in the chat. They go on through their Google Classroom, and as they're going, they're going to write down the question, the correct answer and question in their notebook. Not sure if that makes sense. I hope it does. So I'll explain it again. The students cannot, you can show this on the board at the front of the classroom and the students can log on and they see this on their laptop, but they're not moving differently. So give each student their own link by posting it on Google Classroom and they can move through the game either on their own or perhaps with a partner. The thing with Genially is that it's a really good formative assessment, not necessarily a summative assessment. With Genially, you don't always get the internal grading system, but there's ways to get around that, and I'll help you guys with that. Just be aware of that. It's not something that if you want to grade it based on accuracy, it might not be the best for that, but it's going to be really good for having students check their own understanding. Are there any questions right now? Okay. We're going to go on to the classic board game, which actually I meant to start with that one, but I didn't. So I will go back to space. I can go to template, games and challenges. The classics has the board games, and this one that you see here, it says the Olympics board game. It's actually my favorite. So I'm going to click on view template. And here's what it looks like more or less. It has the dice already embedded. So if I click on it, it lands on the number. The kids go based off that. You can keep on playing with it. If you click where it says show draggable elements up here, that's referring to the tokens or anything that you can move along. So for example, this blue token, I could move it to 8. The red one, I can move it to 6. Yes. And so forth. And then where it says show interactive elements, that's pretty much anything that you can click on that opens up a new window or a question and answer. For example, this. So I mentioned earlier, some of the templates have content, whether it's academic or just trivia and fun things. Other templates are going to look like this. They tell you where to write the title, and then what other things you can add, whether it's text or images. By the way, just because something is not academic, I mean, I've still used a lot of these things for maybe icebreakers or team building exercises. For example, I teach chemistry, like I said, and I've used the flags challenge a lot. It's not related to the content, but every now and then, if you just have a few extra minutes at the end of class, you can use these different things. So like I said, I really like this template. I'm going to use it. And I did say earlier, Genially does not always have that
Where was it? Right here.
internal grading feedback, but there's ways that you can get around this. So I'll start off by showing you guys what you can edit. Remember that anything that has some kind of text box, double click on it and change it however you want it. For example, if you don't want this to be the USA games, maybe we can make this, I'll put the Lakers or something along. And then I don't know that many sports teams. So I'll put, instead of Canada, I'll put Dallas Cowboys. So you can edit whatever you want. You can also, remember, change the font and the size. I wouldn't leave it like this because if I have this up on the board, it might be difficult to see. So you double click, you go towards the top. And remember, like I said, this is pretty much something like Google Slides or PowerPoint, same or similar options at least. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. I'll make it a size 16. I could bold it. There we go. And now it's easier for us to see from far away. Again, if you don't want this to be countries in the Olympics, maybe you can change that flag by clicking on it. You have those 3 dots. Click on replace image, and maybe I'll put basketball. Maybe I can use a GIF. That would be cute. I'll try this one here. And realistically, I wouldn't use that one because it's the size is not going to work, but at least you got to see how the images or can be replaced. By the way, let me go back to the preview because I want you guys to see how we have the instructions. So the instructions are here on the left. You can click where it says info. This particular game can be played by 2 to 4 players, which is what my class ended up doing. And then each player chooses a chip, which are the tokens on the side. You roll the dice, it's already there. So if you don't have the dice in class, there you go, it's right there. The player who gets the highest number will be the one to start the game. And then to play, each participant rolls the dice and moves to his or her corresponding square. There are some gray squares that basically set the student back, and I'll show you guys those in a bit. And then whoever gets to the finish line first wins. So that's pretty standard. I'm sure most kids know those instructions. Let's show you guys a few more things. I'm going to go back to editing. I'm going to click on the edit pencil down here. I'm gonna click on that number 1. That is gonna be my first question. I'm gonna click where it says window, and I'm going to edit the window. So I did say earlier with the skateboard games, there's not gonna be that grading feedback that the kids get to know if they got the question right or wrong. So it's okay though, because I'm going to show you how to get around that. And then I'm going to give you guys another resource that I use in my class to have the kids show their work. So the way that I make it work is where you have the title, I put my question right here. And where you have the subtitle, I actually type in my answer. But if you just leave it like this, let me show you what that looks like real quick. It gives the kids the answers right away. So naturally, you don't want that. It wouldn't work. So the way that you make this work for you is you're going to edit it. You're going to use the animations that are available on Genially because there's a lot. Let's see. Exit the window. Okay. Going to put animation. I believe the one that I've used in the past is entrance click. I think it's the, let me try zoom or blur out. Actually, no, let me double. Okay. So I'm going to double click where it says answer. I'm going to go where it says animation. I'll select where it says entrance, click, and blur out. And let me double check it. Yep. Let me make sure that it works. Not yet. Okay. I'm going to go back and edit it. Let me try with number 2. I'm going to click on window. I'm going to click on my subtitle or my answer really. I'm going to click on animation, entrance, click, maybe blur out. Maybe it was zoom. It's not working. Let me double check you guys. I don't want to give you the, I want you guys to see how it works. I believe I have it now. Let me double check it. Going to edit one more time. I'm going to click on answer, animation. It's going to be the zoom effect. Let me try that. Oh my goodness, it is not working. Can you believe that? Okay. I'm going to try one more time. Not sure what is going on, you guys. But let me show you guys what it should look once it's done correctly, which I'll revisit my steps and I'll share them with you guys. Let me go back to my space. Molar. Okay. So this is what the animation would look like, where you have the molar mass of whatever the chemical or compound is, And then once you're ready to reveal the answer to the kids, you click on it. So I'll double check. It could be a glitch or it could be I'm just getting the steps wrong. But like I mentioned, just because there's not an internal grading feedback, you can still make it work so that the kids don't know the answer right away and they have to work for it. So and then for the gray squares, if they land on the gray squares, they lose a turn or they get set back. I'm going to add a few more things to this one before we go on. If you want a timer, you can go to where it says widgets on the left. And then the timer didn't work particularly well with this game because it starts automatically. It doesn't give you the start button for the kids to start right when they're ready. So I would recommend for this particular one to use a stopwatch. So let me go back to widgets. I'll just type in stopwatch. Here we go. You can click on it, maybe put it all the way to the side. Thank you. And then when the student clicks on the question, they kind of have an idea of how much time they've spent on it before answering or before losing the turn. With the board games, I would say if you have a small class, then sure, you can put it at the front of the classroom and have the students take turn. But if it's a really big class, I think you might lose her attention. What I recommend that you do is put them in groups, again, groups 2 to 4, and then they're playing and taking turns amongst that group. Now, I mentioned earlier there's a document that I use to have students show their work. I'm going to share that with you guys right now. So this is an answer sheet. It's a group answer sheet, and it focuses on the game turn tracker. So what I recommend, like I said, you have a group of maybe 4 students, maybe have 2 devices out. One device is for typing in their answer right here on the answer sheet. The other device is for actually playing the game. And as they're moving, they're going to put their names. So these are the number of turns. The player taking turn, maybe it's me, maybe then it's another person. You'll put the number that they landed on, or rather the student will, meaning the question number was it on question 1, question 2, because remember, since we're rolling the dice, it doesn't go in order. And then for my game, because ours was a Muller Mass game review, there's rounding and there's estimating. So I had 2 separate columns. One column was for whatever answer the students gave. And then the next column was if their group accepted it, meaning was it close enough, was it estimated or rounded correctly. And then I do have some questions at the bottom just to help the students, make sure that they take turns and are accountable for their work. I am going to share this with you guys just so that if you choose to use this activity, you're able to have the kids keep track of their work. Okay, I'm going to put this here for you guys in the chat, so feel free to use that. And then let me try one more time with the animation just to have you guys see it. I'm going to click on the question, click on window. I'm going to edit the window. I'm going to double click the answer text box. I'll press animation, maybe entrance, maybe on click. Okay, let's try that. Fade in. Okay, there we go. So now it's hidden and you just click on it and now you see that would reveal the answer. You can try a different one. So it wasn't working earlier. I was not sure if it was a glitch or just something with the steps. But what I recommend is anytime you're trying something new, remember to keep on looking at the preview. Let me try one more time. Once you have the animation that you like, instead of following the steps all over again, what you do is I'm going to go back to edit, click on 19. You double click on the text box, go to where it says more, and then you copy the format. So now you can use that format instead of following the steps all over again. Maybe go to the next question. Let's say it's 20. Click on Window, Edit, click on the subtitle, and you're going to paste the format. So now make sure it works. 120. Okay, it's not working. It could be glitching, but it should paste the formats from each question to all the next. That way you're not following the steps. Sometimes it's just a glitch. Not sure why that's happening, but when you're successful, when you're able to make it work, it's going to work beautifully. Again, let me show you what mine looked like when I used it in class. If I just click on random one, my answers blurred out. Once the kids are ready to answer, they check their answer and then they go to their answer sheet and they check or they input whether it's right or wrong. Okay. As of now, are there any questions? Let's do a few more. You guys, we have 2 left. Complete the sentence activity. That one, I'll have you guys try. So I'm going to go to my Genially. I'm going to go back to my space. This next one, complete a sentence, I think is going to be particularly helpful for maybe the elementary students if they're working on building their sentences. I would also say now the upperclassmen, because now the STAR tests have more varied questions, they have fill in the blanks. This would be a really good one for that. So there's 2 versions of fill in the blanks. I'm going to have us test out this one just so that you see the different versions, but they're pretty much, or they're essentially the same. And also I'll have us test this one out because it's more applicable. The other example is more grammar, so I don't want us to think about grammar right now. I'm going to click where it says %. I'm going to click where it says live. And this one will all be able to join. So you can have this open at the front of the classroom. And then the students can open this on their devices and they can join. So I'll have you guys join if we can get at least 1 or 2 people, please. You go to play.genially.com and you just type that in, 191451. While we wait, I'll say that not all the quizzes can be used at the front of the classroom. Some of them the kids are not able to access on their own or click through the quiz on their own. Thank you, you guys. So what I recommend is double check the quiz before you actually use it in class. So maybe you can have 2 devices open. Your teacher laptop is where you have the game going on, and then you sign in maybe from your iPad to make sure that the kids can move on, or just have a teacher friend work through it. The other option would be you have the kids working in groups, and then once it's time, maybe you give them a minute to come up with an answer. Once that minute is up, each group or one group can send a representative up to the front of the classroom and they click their answer. So that might be a little bit more challenging, but if you want to challenge your students like that, it's an excellent option. And because they're working in groups, maybe they're not going to feel so pressured if they get it wrong. So I'll click start. Thank y'all. I'm going to click start. So there you have the question. If you guys can just select any answers, perfect. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. Actually, it's good if you get them wrong. That way we can see what that looks like on the leaderboard. So I'll wait for maybe one more person to, perfect. Thank you. I'll click solve now. And then you get this board game or this leaderboard right here. Like I said, not all quizzes are going to have that leaderboard, and not all quizzes will let the kids log in or move through the answers on their own devices. So just test it out before you use it in class. And then if we go on to the next one, it's a similar concept. So like I said, this might be useful for elementary kids if they're working on building the sentences, but also for the upper level kids if they're testing in the STAR subject. And even if it's not a STAR tested subject, we know that a lot of the kids need help with the writing, so this works out perfectly. So I'm gonna close this for now. Thank you all for joining. I'm gonna close that little game. And because this game has the leaderboard, the kids always like to see who's moving up, who didn't do so well. You do have, before I move on, you have some files with a little bit of the information that the kids put. If you have the free version, it's not very detailed, but it's something to work with. At least you know that the kids were logged on. Let's show you guys what that looks like. Again, I have the free version, so I'm not going to have all the details, but I like to use Genially for formative assessments. So I'm more worried about the participation and the engagement. That's what that looks like. I'll exit out of that because I don't really use it for the grading. Let me go back to the panel. I'm going to click on complete the sentence, or I can just go back to templates. I'll type in complete the sentence game. Complete the sentence. I'm going to use this one. And there's different versions. The one that we just did is the one that says fill in the blanks. They're very similar. Just test them out, see what you like. I'll click on view template. Remember, before you open it, you can always click where it says show interactive elements and kind of get through it. By the way, if you have the free version, you don't have a lot of storage. You have maybe 2 GB. So maybe check things out in the preview window before you open it. That way you're not worried about the erasing your old PowerPoints and seeing which one works, which one you want to get rid of. I am going to use this one, so I'll click on use this template. Like I said, it does take a while for the slides to open up. So I'm at complete the sentence. Let's say I want to change the title. You guys know the drill. I'll double click on the text box. I'll call it maybe a biology review. So biology review. You could always change the animations, but I don't do that personally because, like I said, it's already there. The whole point of Genially for me is that I don't have to worry about those details. So I'll skip that for now, but you can always go to preview and see what kind of sound effects it has, etc. Now, because this is a quiz, you have this extra option at the bottom. We didn't have this on Escape Game because Escape Game, it's different. Think of it almost as a PowerPoint. For the quiz activities, whether it's speed quiz or maybe they're not timed, you might see something like this. It says question settings. I'm going to click on it and it gives you the options on whether you want the questions to be repeated or not, if you want the kids to see their answers or not. And then anytime that y'all see a premium star like this, that means it's not part of the free version, so you might want to skip it. Okay. I'll go on to the next slide. You can use this screen or this bar on the left. You can also use the arrows like the one that we have here. And then here you have your question or your sentence that you can work on. Again, to edit it, very simple, double click it. I can delete the whole thing. I'll type in my sentence. So I'll type in my sentence. And then whatever answer you want to be, I'll type in my sentence. Double click the answer. So let's say I want double to be in the word bank at the bottom. I'll click on it. I'll press where it says reply. There we go. Let's say I want to put answer at the bottom. I'll double click where it says reply, and there we go. So how does this look for the kids? Remember, go to the preview. And then let me get it wrong, just because, oh no. Double click the answer the double. I always like to get questions wrong whenever we try these games, just so that we know what the kids will see. There you go. Now, because I mentioned the STAR test, now we have fill in the blank, but if you want to make this a more complete review, you can also add other answer choices. So I'll go maybe to question 6 at the bottom. I'll click add page. I'll use the basic thing. Let's try this. And actually, instead of all of this, maybe I want to do interactive questions. If you click on interactive questions here on the left ribbon, you have a bunch that you could use. And a lot of these are going to be on the STAR test. So you have the single choice, which are the traditional questions. You have the multiple choice, which now the STAR test for a lot of subjects have. You have true or false. You have the image selection, which I really like. Let's say I want to pick, let's try this. Let's say who is the carnivore. So I'm editing my question on the right side, carnivore. And if you want to replace the image, very simple, you just click where it says replace. It opens up this pop-up window. You can get a picture that you've downloaded to your device, an image with AI. Remember, whenever you see the star sign, that's premium, so you might not be able to use that. You can link to somewhere. You can use the image. Maybe I'll put a lion. Lion. There we go. I press enter. And now my image has been replaced. Might take a little bit of time, but there we go. So you can also add different questions. You have the short answer, and you have the option to sort. So it's a very complete review, I would say. If you want to make this timed, you can click where it says question settings at the bottom. I bet it's not going to be that one. Let's see. There is a way to time this. Here we go. I am blanking on how to time it. You could add the widget if you'd like. The kids are, timing themselves. There's another way to time it. I'll have to double think of it and come back to that. Let me add another thing. Since I teach chemistry, we have to use the periodic tables a lot. So I'm going to clean this up for a little bit. Let me delete things just to clear it up. Let's say this was a question that needed the periodic table. It's very simple. I would go to interactive elements where it says navigation. You have link. Let's say I use the P table. I go to P table. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to go back to Genially. I am going to paste it, save it, and there we go. We have the link right there. I can preview it to make sure that it works. Yep. And yes, it works. It takes me to the Genially website. I've been talking a lot. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Let me go back. Okay. I do want to double check the timing. Resources. I need to get back to you guys on the timing, but if I can't, I'm sure it's easy to find. Again, you can put a timer on these questions. It's just a matter of double checking where. So this particular game to complete the sentence, I would really use it, and I plan on using it more this next school year. Are there any questions before we move on? I have one more item that I want to show you guys. Okay. So I mentioned this one earlier. It's also one of my favorites. Pretty engaging. The kids like it. It's the one that I've used as an icebreaker sometimes. Oh, I'm going to go to editor. I'm going to go to my home page. This one, you could consider it a speed quiz, and it is very quick, so it works perfectly at the end of class. Thank you. Got it. So you could type in the flag quiz. It's one of my favorites. So if I go to, here we go. It's going to be the flags challenge. I've already saved it because I use it so many times. This one is ready to use. This one you can put at the front of the classroom. The kids log on on their own device and they can move through it, or they can answer through their devices. So I'm going to click on percent, click on live. I'll press continue. And then if anybody wants to join, you're welcome to do that. It's going to have a similar format as to the previous game, where you log on, you see the kids who are logged in through here. Once you press start, it shows you the leaderboard as you move on. And actually, we can skip this for now, although it would be fun to do. Maybe if we have a few minutes at the end. If not, it's fine. But to edit this, let's say I don't want it to be a flex challenge. I want it to be an elements challenge. I just type that out. I can always replace the image like I showed you guys earlier. Click on it, click on the snowman. Maybe edit. I might have to, yeah, replace. If you don't get the replace image right off with the snowman, click on edit. You can come over here, replace with anything that you'd like. Maybe I'll put gold. You can use GIFs as well. Once it's ready, you'll just save it. Not sure. Oh, I see what it is. It didn't change right away. In that case, if I want to get rid of it, I can just delete it. Maybe I can put something else here. I'll drag this around. The next slide, this one, I won't edit it because it's more the roadmap. The next slide, however, is the question. So on slide number 3, here I would want to change it. Maybe I would put what is the atomic number of whatever element. And then in this example, you already see what's right or wrong. You can also edit the settings, kind of like in the previous game. Click on question settings. There we go. You also have a timer, which, like I said, you can put on the quiz games. The other one, we couldn't find it, but you'll be able to find it. You can edit the time. I like 10 seconds because it really puts a good amount of pressure on the kids, but you can edit that to be more or less by clicking on it, maybe putting 20 seconds, not 20 minutes, that would be bad, 20. And then you can also change the order or the questions, the answers. This one, it's not an escape game, so you don't have to worry about changing the slide that it goes to. This is more of a question and answer thing going on. So you just click edit, and then if I don't want US to be the answer, I can get rid of it. I can put Canada instead. And then you can always randomize the order for the students. And just let you know what the rest of the slides look like, we have actions and design. If you want to change the answer choices so it's easier to read from across the classroom, you're able to do that. So I kind of rushed there at the end. let me go back to you guys. I know I talked a lot, but I'm going to open the floor for questions. If you guys have any questions, or if there's something that stood out to you guys, something you'd like to clarify, please let me know. Well, I hope this was different from the other Genially sessions. I hope you guys learned something. Remember that I posted that resource that I used in my own class. You guys are welcome to use that for your own classes. If you're having trouble with the links, just let me know. And I hope you guys have fun with this. It's gonna be fun for you guys. Thank you.